Wednesday night. That means it's the Panther-Lair Show here on YouTube.com/Panther-Lair.com. I'm excited to be here. I got to make sure my headphones are plugged into the right thing. I actually should check the settings and make sure our audio is plugged into the right thing. It sure is. And then I should also invite our good friend Jim, because what would a live Panther-Lair Show be without our good friend Jim? Let me send him the link here so he can join in and we can start talking some Pitt sports here on this week's live Panther-Lair Show. You know what we always ask you to do? Make sure you like this video and subscribe to youtube.com/Panther-Lair.com. That way you don't miss any of our Pitt video content. We have, what do we have? We have morning Pitt videos every day of the week, Monday through Friday. Sorry, there's a funny comment that came in. Swim Boyd says, Chris, don't lie. Have you ever accidentally unconsciously started doing the preamble when someone asks what you do? No, I don't think so. I mean, like, so you know what I say? All right. So this is funny. And actually I'll bring Jim in a second and ask him this question too. When people are like, what do you do? You know what I say? Like, this is the direct quote. I've spent 20 years. I don't know if you would say perfecting this, because I don't know if it's a perfect answer, but I say, I write for a Pitt sports website. And I hope that we can just drop it right there and not talk any more about it. But inevitably, it's always like, oh, you work for Pitt? No, I don't work for Pitt. It's a website. It's all right. I write about Pitt sports. I write about like Pitt sports news. We cover football and basketball. A lot of our stuff is the recruiting. And then there's message boards. That's a big part of it as well. It's a subscription website. And everybody's always impressed that you can actually like do this for a living, that it's not just like, a side, like a hobby. Like, I mean, if I had a hobby, I'd hope it would be much cooler than writing about sports. It'd be like, I don't know, something else. But yeah, that's what I've broken it down to when people ask, like, what do you do? It's, I write for a Pitt sports website. I write for a Pitt sports website. 7 words to try and be the most succinct, short answer I can possibly manage. I write for a Pitt sports website. But inevitably, nobody can ever leave it alone at that, I guess, because it doesn't actually explain anything, and unless you're in this sort of universe. And then, like, we get into an extended conversation of, it used to be Rivals, or now it's 24/7. Well, it's this network of sites. There are these sites all over and like, generally people are just sort of surprised that you can actually make a living doing this, like running one of these sites. And I'm like, yeah, I've been doing it for 20 years. And then, like, for the last 5 years, I've had the extra joke. I'm like, yeah, it's nice. It's got flexibility in the schedule, and I work from home. I was working from home before it was cool. This is what I always say. Like, oh, people, they started working remote 5 years ago and they're complaining about this and that. I'm like, yeah, that's what happens when you work remote. I was here a long time before everybody who just started doing it during COVID. So that's so no, to Swim Boyd's question, I've never, like, somebody been like, so what do you do? And I'm like, well, I'm the publisher of the most comprehensive source of Pitt sports news on the internet. Pitt football, basketball, recruiting. We cover it all at Panther-Lair.com. We have message boards where you can interact with hundreds and thousands of your closest Pitt fan friends. All day, every day, Pitt fans are talking about Pitt sports on Panther-Lair.com. It's Panther-Lair.com. I don't say that at a family reunion. Maybe I should, because I mean, I answer all the questions, right? Like, I guess it doesn't leave anything up for anybody to, like, follow up questions. Well, what does that mean? And then I'll usually be like, yeah, we do some, like, podcasts. We do, like, YouTube. I guess I could, like, segue in to be like, we have lots of video content at youtube.com/Panther-Lair.com. We do these morning Pitt videos Monday through Friday, every day of the week. A little bit of Pitt sports talk to get your day started. We have our weekly live show every Wednesday night at 8:30 p.m. here, with Jim Hammett and me taking your comments and questions. We have post-game shows, press conferences, interviews, lots of exclusive video content, all at youtube.com/Panther-Lair.com. The next time I'm at a family reunion, I'm going to ask somebody to like and subscribe. And then I'm going to throw a cup of water in my own face, because that would be really annoying. Larry's cousin says, nothing is worse when somebody asks you what you do for a living or how much you get paid. I'm a private person. Yeah, I mean, I hear you, but I mean, it's a common thing. Like, what do you do? What do you do for a living? How do you spend your days? What's your job? I think it's a pretty common conversation starter. So I get it, Larry's cousin. But I mean, I ask people that all. Don't you ask people, Larry's cousin? Voodoo IPA says I should use the preamble at family events and maybe get more clients, bringing in more revenue. I don't know if I have a lot of, like, I have some family members who are Pitt fans, but, like, I grew up in Eastern PA. So like where I grew up, you were either people were either Notre Dame fans or Penn State fans. It is really like what it came down to. And on those I can remember like weeks in elementary school when Penn State and Notre Dame would play, and it was like, elementary school divided over who wanted Notre Dame and who wanted Penn State. And so, yeah, Pitt was out there. Pitt was like relevant at that point. It was the 80s. But I think there weren't a lot of like Pitt fans where I grew up, and most of my family like isn't Pitt fans. There are people that I've met since moving to Western PA who are Pitt fans. And I guess I could try to sell to them, but try and keep business and family separate, I guess. All right. Let's bring Jim in here. Let me turn my sound on so I can make sure I hear him. James, what do you say at the family events when people ask, what do you do? Or you meet new people at the social club? What do they ask you, what do you do? What do you say? What's your go-to line?
I usually just say sports writer, and I'm like you. I kind of wanted to stop there, but then it's like, well, what paper do you write for? Well, it's not a paper. It's all on the internet. So then you open up like a whole different can of worms. I'm like, it's like a sports section. It's all about University of Pittsburgh, football, and you can read about it, and we have a website and all that. But I don't know. Like, you still get people that are confused by it. Like, sometimes, like, like if you're sitting at a bar and like, oh, why aren't you at the Pirate game working? It was like, I
right.
literally have nothing to do with the Pittsburgh Pirates.
You get that, like, people are like, oh, you like cover like the Steelers and stuff, and they get all excited. And you're like, no,
like, not even a little bit.
Pitt only means University of Pittsburgh. Like, and then you have to specify, you're like, yeah, I mean University of Pittsburgh. Pitt is all that means. And so then they get a little less interested, which is great for me because I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah.
Like I like family events, things like that. Do you get to where like people are like, how's Pitt looking? And you're like, you try and gauge, like, all right, what's your like actual interest level? Like, I know there are people on the website and people probably who tune into this live stream. If we run into them in the parking lot and they're like, how's Pitt looking? Like, we could go deep, right? Like, well, linebacker depth is really kind of a concern right now. We'll see if Nick Lappy's able to play both of those positions. Maybe Cam Lindsey, like you can go deep. But if it's like some random person who's just like making conversation, how's Pitt looking? Like, how deep are you really going to go? Are you going to talk about like, well, I thought it was really interesting that Sean Lee was the first freshman off the bench on Saturday. People are like, oh, Duquesne, they blew out Duquesne. How'd they look in that game? I was like, well, what do you really want to know? Like, how in depth do you go? You kind of have to read people, right? Of like what their interest level actually is.
Oh yeah, definitely. And I think the general answer is like, yeah, I think they'll be all right this year. They have the same quarterback, they have a really good running back, blah blah blah. And like, I think I try to leave it there, but inevitably, like, some people, they want to get more in depth, and I'm cool with that. But like, it kind of goes back to, I think, one of the comments. Someone was like, how much do you really talk about like your buddies with what they do at work? You know what I mean? Like, it's different whenever your job is sports, is their way to disconnect from their job. And so like, sometimes, like, if I'm out, like, I don't know, I don't really want to talk about like Pitt's linebacker depth. Like, I talk about it all day, and I have this message board. I can look at it at any hour of the day and, pick up on that conversation. So sometimes I try to, like, if it's just like a casual fan, I'm like, yeah, they're going to be okay this year, and just try to keep it moving.
Yeah. There's always like, well, it's Pitt, so you never know. You can always drop that. Now, on the contrary, if you run into Anthony Tennyson out there, you run into our guy Tony, then you might have an in-depth conversation about what it means to have Roman Cialepa finally on campus. Because what was the one that makes the balloons? Is it 2 thumbs up, Jim? That was the.
I don't remember.
Is it not working anymore? Like,
did we lose this like power?
There we go. We got balloons because Roman Cialepa is finally on campus. Double peace signs. I got confetti too falling because Roman Cialepa is finally on campus. There's your balloons, Jim. Good job. Good job. Let's see if I can get the laser show. Wasn't it this for the laser show?
I thought so. You would think that would be relevant. No, we're just Texas fans.
Now we're Ohio State fans.
Yeah.
I thought it was the anyway. Roman Cialepa is finally here. Made it to campus. Probably got here like in the last couple of days. Today we actually confirmed that he was here, and then I think tonight Pitt Basketball's Twitter account put something out too. Right? They announced it. So he's made it. We still don't know what he's actually going to do, and I kind of have this feeling like like, I don't know. What are your expectations? What do you think Roman Ciolapa, the Australian forward, is actually like? What's he going to do?
Yeah, and I wonder, just because of the nature of his commitment, he sort of became a myth. I think, like, on our message board specifically, it was like, well, there's this great Australian player, Pitt's going to get him. Why isn't he committed yet? And what now? Like, now the conversation is, why isn't he here yet? So there is like this air of mystery about him. So, like, I don't know. I don't want to place the expectations too high. I mean, like, he did not have that full summer of getting ready. I mean, he was doing other things. He was still playing basketball, but I don't know. I mean, like, I feel like I need to see it. I mean, I think the athleticism is going to translate. I think he's going to be able to rebound. I think he's going to score some points. Is he going to be one of their two best players this year? I'm guessing probably not. But, upside talent wise, like, he's probably one of the two most talented guys on the team. I just don't know if it's going to translate to, like, being that on the court.
And, like, probably his biggest strengths will be defense and rebounding. Is that?
Yeah.
Whereas they need scoring, right? Like, they need guys who can score, who can shoot, who can create. And I don't think he really helps with any of that, does he?
I mean, like, when you watch his tapes, I mean, like, on the Australian AAU circuit, he just bullies people around. I mean, he's just so much bigger and stronger and athletic than everyone else. It's like everything's a dunk. And, like, that'd be great if that can translate to, the ACC. I'm just not convinced it will, because there's so many guys like that. So, yeah, I mean, his shot kind of looks a little wonky. It looks like it needs some work. I mean, like, I think he could score at all three levels. I don't know if he could score well at all three levels in college, first year. But I mean, yeah, like, there's a lot of talent there. There's a lot of upside there. And we could both be wrong, and he averages 13 points and 10 rebounds this year and, like, does it just in Champagne. I don't know. I'm guessing probably not, but.
Yeah, it seems unlikely that would happen, but I guess he's here now, so we'll see how it fits in. I'm guessing what you'll have is he'll play the 4, Deshaun Jackson will play the 5, and Cam Corrin will play a little bit of both. Would that be your expectation?
I would say at this point, I mean, because they seem prepared to play Cam Corrin and Deshaun Jackson together. So I don't think that's an all the time thing. I don't think it should be an all the time thing. So I mean, they need to create space at the 4, and I mean, I think that's the natural spot for him. And I think it would be better if Pitt does not play with 2 6'11" centers that can't shoot on the floor together.
But they're going to.
They're going to.
They have to, because I don't know, like, what other option is there at the 4, right? Like, Roman can't play 40 minutes, right? So, I mean, They could go small. Barry Dunning Jr., I guess, could play there, and they could be a little bit smaller. But I would say I almost think it's more likely that they would play a really big lineup with all 3 of those guys, Corrin, Jackson, and Ciolapa together, than the other way, where it's, somebody smaller at the 4 with Cam Corrin or Deshaun Jackson at the 5. I don't think they're going to have Ciolapa at the 3 and go with all 3 of those guys on the court at the same time. But I think that would be more likely than going with, like, a smaller lineup. And I think Cam Corrin's just going to move between the two. I think he'll play next to Ciolapa, and I think he'll play next to Jackson. I could be completely wrong, but I just don't see the other ways that this lineup kind of shakes out. You know what I mean?
No, I mean, they could go, like, more, guard heavy and do, Barry Dunning at the 4. But yeah, I mean, I think their options are limited. I mean, I need to see some of it. I need to see, like, Noyes, like, be a 3-point threat. I need to see Brandon Cummings take that step before I'm willing to say, like, oh, they should play with 3 guards. So I don't know. There's still a lot of mystery with this team. And I'm kind of interested to see it. It's going to start in November. So we have a couple more months of, just kind of waiting, but it now feels like the team's complete. Roman's here. They have 2 months to kind of forge ahead and see what they got, come regular season time.
All right. On the football side, Josh Newark says, some say that if you have 2 quarterbacks, you have none. What happens if you are the Central Michigan Chippewas and you have 3 quarterbacks? Well, Jim, I mean, how many of those 3 quarterbacks are actually going to throw? I think they all ran the ball against San Jose, but not exactly a lot of throwing. I know you've been looking ahead at Central Michigan, doing some research there. I mean, I think we all see the same thing. They ran the ball 56 times, against San Jose. Now, that was a close game, but Pat Narduzzi said it. The numbers say it. That's the kind of offense they want to run, and it feels like this plays into Pitt's hands, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, like from our understanding, it's it's a Central Michigan. It's going to be a power offense. It's going to be with quarterback power runs. I mean, I think they're just going to line it up and come right at you. And I think it kind of goes to Matt Drinkle, the first year head coach. He comes from Army, so he has that mentality of that's how they play, and they're going to be physical, and they're just going to come right at you and just challenge you at the line of scrimmage. And I think whenever they look at these like first year head coaches and first year coaching staffs, they went back and they looked and, they're coordinators from Eastern Washington. And Pat Narduzzi said on Monday, it wasn't uncommon for Eastern Washington to play multiple quarterbacks. So this is just part of what they do. I don't know if it's so much that they're not willing to name a starter. I think they just like to give different looks. But I mean, you look at the three quarterbacks, only two of them attempted passes. One of them only attempted three. And Joey Labus, he was 5 of 10 in the opener against San Jose State. So, I mean, you're talking about a team that attempted 13 passes and 51 rushes. I mean, obviously some of them were probably scrambles, but for the most part, I think they were by design. And that's just kind of who this team is.
Did it seem like Pat Narduzzi was almost giddy about this? Like some of his quotes where how excited he was to sit in the defensive meeting room all week. And this is like the Big Ten and this is old school football. Like, he's almost too excited about playing this game, I think.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, it does kind of play into what Pitt likes to do. I mean, they pride themselves on stopping the run. I mean, I thought that is like a benchmark of what this defense likes to do. So if you're Central Michigan, you're not going to be, spreading you out and, making life difficult. I mean, like, just the nervous Pitt fan energy, like right before I got on, like someone like started a thread like, hey, how does this team compare to Western Michigan? They don't. They're not in any way similar. There is not Sky Moore that's going to be breaking loose for 200 yards. Like they are just going to run the ball, and by design, Pitt should be able to stop it.
And what did Pitt score in that game? Did they score 40 against Central or Western Michigan? Do you remember?
Yeah, like Kenny Pickett had like 500 yards.
Yeah, it was like one of his biggest, like highest scoring, like his highest like passing totals. I just want to. I'm trying to remember how much.
Was it 48, 45?
It was something like that. Wait, I have the media guide. 44-41. So they scored 41 points. If they score 41 points against Central Michigan, like there's no way Central Michigan is scoring 42 with a run heavy offense like this, unless they're Navy circa 2007 against, Dave Wanstead's disaster of an option defense. I feel like this game is like Pitt's going to get up early. Ideally, like the best way it works out for Pitt is they get up early, force Central Michigan to have to try, force Central Michigan to have to try and throw, and they're just not built to do that. They're not comfortable doing that, and they're not going to be able to come back if Pitt gets a 2 or 3 touchdown lead. I think it just turns into a blowout at that point. John Jingleheimer Schmidt wants to know the score and total points predictions. I need a scapegoat if my bets lose. So, Jim, I'm looking at scores and odds right now, and they currently have Pitt minus 22.5 with an over-under set at 51.5. And looks like the under pays better. So the under is the favorite, I guess, because it's minus 105. The over is minus 115. So 22.5 points, Jim, and over under 51.5. What are you thinking on those two numbers?
I think you could get yourself to a place where it's like 38-10.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of plausible. I mean, like Central Michigan did not score a lot of points this weekend against San Jose State. It was actually interesting. They went up 13-0, went down 14-13.
Yeah.
Finally took the lead with about 7 minutes left. Then San Jose State twice missed the go-ahead kick with 3 minutes, under 3 minutes.
Yeah.
I think one was long, but the other one was like either tipped. It was like a 29-yarder. So like they hung on for dear life. But I mean, Central Michigan, obviously, they want to bog the game down. They want to make it, grind out possessions and just, slow Pitt down as much as possible, control the clock, come right at you. I mean, I think they had one running back went for 102 yards. The other one went for 99 yards. So there's not really any secret with what they're going to do. But again, like we've mentioned a couple of times, like this is what Pitt wants to play defensively. Like if Pitt ever had to go up against like a Big Ten team in the bowl game, like that's like Pat Narduzzi's bread and butter. So like, I understand why he was a little anxious and, wants to sit in on a few more meetings, because this is what he knows. This is what he kind of, came up with.
Yeah. So he would like to play like Iowa in a bowl game. That would be his dream, right?
I think he could stop Iowa.
Yeah.
I think a Pitt defense could stop Iowa.
All right. So you're taking Pitt minus 22.5, but you're taking the under on 51.5. Is that what you're telling us?
But what did I say? 38-10.
Yeah.
Life is too short to bet the under, but yeah, 38-10. I'll stick with it. That's what the first thing that came out of my mouth.
38-10. Let's like one thing, and we'll see. And I didn't look at the stats from Central Michigan's game. Like Pitt dominated field position against Duquesne. Like they were plus 15 in field position. Their average start was their own 43-yard line. Duquesne's was their own 28, and that included the interception they had. Like Pitt just owned. Pitt just owned Duquesne in field position, all the big returns. And like Duquesne's kicking game was really bad. I think their kickoffs were okay, but their punting game was really bad. Do you chalk up all that field position to the bad punter for Duquesne, who maybe was just skittish after kicking a line drive to Desmond Reed? Or do you think this is a team that might be able to consistently get itself good field position, kind of throughout the season? Like this might be a strength for this team.
I would say last week it was a little bit of both. Like there, you would kind of see like the Duquesne punter was kind of like going to extreme lengths to not give the ball to Des Reed a few times. Like I get that. I mean, 188-yard touchdown can do that to a man. So I sympathize with the Duquesne punter, but I do think Pitt has explosive returners, whether it's Reed or Johnson. I think they both have good vision in the open field. I think Jacob Bernowski has done a good job of kind of scheming things up and like setting up these returns. I don't think it's just a guy making a play. They're well blocked too. So I think that can be a weapon for him this year. And I mean, that's kind of one of the reasons Jacob Bernowski was even hired. Like, yes, he's the tight ends coach, but like he also came in with a reputation of being one of the best special teams coordinators in the country. And I think, 13 games into or 14 games at this point into his Pitt tenure, like you can feel it. Like it's definitely different than it was, 3, 4, 5 years ago.
Yeah, I would say he was hired more for the special teams than the tight ends. I mean, I think that was a big part of the hire. And I know there's been debate about Desmond Reed staying on punts, but like if anything, I think like that game showed why Desmond Reed should be on punt return. You know what I mean? First of all, because of what he can do in the return game when he gets his hands on the ball. And then second, what just his presence, the impact his presence can have. And now I think there's enough film of Kenny Johnson being dangerous on punt returns that it's not very appealing to punt to Pitt. Now, again, a team with a decent punter who can get decent hang time might have better success, and I don't think we can discount that. But I mean, those guys, they look good. One guy that, I don't know if he looked good or not, but we never saw him, was Mason Heinchel. And Pitt fan H2P says, very surprised we didn't see Mason at all in week 1. What are your thoughts on that? Were you surprised, Jim? Did you think we would see all three quarterbacks or at least see Mason Heinchel get some snaps against Duquesne?
I thought going into it, there was a chance of it happening, but at the same time, I'm kind of okay with the two guys in front of him getting the snaps that they got. I thought Eli Holstein, that was his first game in a while. Like, I think he struggled at first. I think he needed to play through it. So I was fine with letting him work into the third quarter. Then as Pat Narduzzi said on Monday, like, you have Cole Gonzalez, like he's the guy that's going to go in a pinch, and you want to let him throw the football around. And like, that's why you're still throwing the ball with 2 minutes left in the game. Like, I get it. Like you're going to need that guy at some point, like just playing the odds. So I thought there was a world where Mason Heinchel might go in for that last series, the one where Bryce Yates caught the touchdown. But like, I also get why they kept it with Cole Gonzalez too.
You kind of touched on it there. It's been a big debate on the message boards and a discussion point about like how Pitt approached the end of the game, still running tempo in the last few minutes, still throwing, adding on some cheap scores. But, Pat Narduzzi wasn't really asked about that. He was asked more about the logic of keeping Kenny Johnson in the game, and getting those kind of reps. I think with the injury risk being sort of the implication there, although he was also asked about adding those late scores and whether Jerry Schmidt was bothered by it. He said the Duquesne head coach was not. But where do you come down on that, Jim? What do you like? And you just touched on it a little bit, but I mean, should you call off the dogs a little bit? You could still maybe throw, but maybe not run your tempo offense, maybe not make it look like you're trying to run up the score.
Yeah, I mean, yes and no. I mean, I think that's kind of more of a discussion for high school football. I mean, at this point, like Duquesne was well compensated for showing up to Acrisure Stadium to take that 52-point loss. I think they kind of understood the implications going into it that Pitt was going to beat them and beat them by a lot. So I don't think Pitt was like necessarily trying to embarrass them. Like it was second, third team guys on the field pretty much most of the, if not all of the fourth quarter. So I don't know. Like I'm fine with guys getting reps. Like again, high school football, if you're throwing the ball like that, usually it's a running clock. It's a bad look. In college football, I mean, Duquesne got a check out of it. So like it's like it is what it is.
Yeah, I kind of, and like, I do buy the idea that you want to, I mean, like you need to get some valuable reps for Cole Gonzalez, even if he's an older guy, and even if he's played and kind of knows the offense and everything like that, you need to get him some work. I mean, you don't want to go in cold. I agree with Pat Narduzzi about that. You don't want to go into the Louisville game if you have to bring him in, or Boston College or Syracuse or anything like that, with him not having taken any meaningful snaps running the offense. And Pitt's offense is a tempo offense or passing offense. And so, I mean, that's going to be part of it. So I get that. It's like you call off the dogs, you don't call off the dogs. Nobody, I don't think Cade Bell called the 60-yard touchdown pass play, right? Like if he's got the 60-yard touchdown pass play in his playbook, I don't think he called that. It just so happened that Duquesne misplayed that throw to Bryce Yates, a true freshman. You mean not a fifth-year senior who's out there, playing his 100th game, a true freshman playing for the first time, and the kid just made a play. So I get it. What maybe some of the complaints on the Duquesne side might be, but I also kind of understand why Pitt might have been going for it a little bit. I think we might have talked about it too, like, or maybe you and I talked after the game, like after Desmond Reed broke that long touchdown run, him and Eli Holstein didn't need to be on the field again, like just for injury's sake. And I know Eli Holstein needed to get back, but like I think he was pretty well back at that point. I think the throw to Blue Hicks was a really good pass that he looked pretty good making that throw. Obviously, Hicks made a great catch. And then the Kenny Johnson touchdown, too. I keep saying, I feel like that was like a vintage Eli Holstein play. You know what I mean? Takes a snap, scrambles around a little bit, runs up toward the line of scrimmage, and then finds the open receiver. Like, that's the thing he's probably best at, right? If you were to say, like, what is Eli Holstein's, like, superpower? It's doing that. And I think when he made that play, I was like, okay, he looks like he's back. Okay, he looks like he's got it again. And so I don't think he needed to play much longer than that first drive of the second quarter or second half. I was surprised they kept him in longer than that. But in the end, they still got a lot of reps for Juelz Goff. They got a lot of reps for Cole Gonzalez, Jalen Williams, and all those guys. Somebody asked, there was a question here. Paul Sebastian, I think, had it. Where is that? What are the chances the second string gets in this week? What are you kind of expecting? I mean, we talked about our expectations for the game. Do you think we'll see similar sort of personnel? I guess this is a two-part question. Do you expect the game to allow Pitt to make similar personnel moves? And do you think they will if the game allows it?
I think to an extent, but I don't think there's just going to be those wholesale changes where it's like, okay, here's the second team for a while, here's the third team for a while. Like, I think the guys at this point will be like the guys that deserve the reps will get them. Like, if you know what I mean. Like, I don't know if they'll go much beyond like the second string guys. Like, for instance, like Sean Lee should get a lot of reps. Like they shouldn't make it a point to get the third string quarter reps. Like let Sean Lee, if there's like cleanup duty, like I'm thinking more guys like that, more like the Nick Lappies, the Cameron Lindsays, the guys that need it. I mean, I don't know if you're going to see Bryce Yates catch 60-yard touchdowns this weekend. I'm guessing probably not. But like there are guys on the 2 deep depth chart that probably need those extra reps. And if my 38-10 prediction does hold true, which I guess that this is just the thing.
You're locked into it now. That's your prediction.
So. Yeah, at this point, no, but like that should allow them to have some flexibility in the fourth quarter to just kind of sit on the lead and it just doesn't seem like Central Michigan's really built to come back and throw the ball and tie the game up and score a bunch of points if they get down by a lot.
I guess what's interesting to me is the offensive line, like whether we'll see a wholesale change of the offensive line. Let's say they're up 3 touchdowns late in the third quarter. Do they pull that group? If they're up, let's say, so you're saying 38-10, let's say they're up 35-10 at the end of the third quarter. Does the second team offensive line play the whole fourth quarter? Or should they?
Maybe they should. I just don't know if they will. Like, I just don't know if the way they approach these FCS games anymore is like, they're almost looking at it as a preseason game. They almost go in scripted knowing, okay, like these fourth quarter guys are probably going to play, so on and so forth. And this game, like, I don't know if there's that exact script going on. I mean, I think it's just like, all right, this is our team. We're going to give it 100% for a while and see where that takes them. So I don't know. Like, maybe Pitt absolutely blows out Western Michigan. Maybe they are one of the worst teams in the MAC this year. They have a first-year head coach. Maybe they stink, and maybe it turns into a laugher. Then in that case, yeah, like, empty the bench.
Would you sub the linebackers sooner than they did? I think they played Cam Lindsey 2 snaps in the first half. I don't think Nick Lappy played at all until Braylon Lovelace got hurt, or maybe a little bit. But like, in the end, Pro Football Focus says Lappy played 16 snaps on defense. Cam Lindsey played 12. I don't think that's enough. I don't think in that FCS game against Duquesne that Rasheem Biles and Kyle Lewis and Braylon Lovelace should have been among the top 4 or 5 guys on defense in snaps played. I think that was a mistake. I think those other guys, I think Lappy and Lindsey should have played a lot more because of how much they're going to be needed. Now you don't have that opportunity anymore. You're not playing an FCS opponent. You're playing an FBS game that you should win. But they're going to have to be part of the rotation, right? So would you, like, Central Michigan's third drive, would you be looking to get those guys in, or are you trying to hold out until somebody gets hurt?
No, I would try. I think it's better to almost bring a guy like Cam Lindsey in with like the 10 other main starters, just so like he's around that. Like, I don't think you need to hold him out and just start throwing him in the third and fourth quarter. Like, they do need to be part of that rotation. They should have played more in the first half against Duquesne, but I almost like those situations where, the other day when it was Sean Lee, like, he was out there with the first team defense. That at that point, it was still meaningful football. And like, I think those guys kind of need those reps, and they're going to need Cam Lindsey at some point this year. They're going to need Nick Lappy, and it's probably going to happen sooner rather than later. And that's not to say like those guys are going to get hurt, or like, I'm not really worried about them getting hurt against Central Michigan. They just need guys. Like, they need these guys to get ready.
Yeah. I feel the same about safety too, right? Like, Cruz Brookins and Javon McIntyre played basically the entire game, did not miss a snap until they started subbing. They subbed Josh Garrier in, and then they subbed Kavir Baines-Marquez in. I don't get that. Like, what? Like, I don't know why you wouldn't have Kavir Baines-Marquez out there. Like, maybe you're not going to rotate those guys as much as you rotated Donovan McMillan and PJ O'Brien and Javon McIntyre last year, but like, you're going to have to rotate. You can't go with McIntyre and Brookins every snap the entire game once you get into ACC play. You're going to need Baines-Marquez. You're going to need Josh Garrier. You're going to need Alan Bryant probably, but at least Baines-Marquez and Josh Garrier. Like, I was shocked. Like, I was surprised that they didn't use those guys more in the first 3 quarters of that game.
I'd agree. And just kind of like the sentiment coming out of camp, it was just like, oh, Josh Garrier's great. Like, you will definitely see him on Saturday. He's going to be part of the team. And like, yeah, he was on special teams the whole game, but like, I thought he needed some work again. And it's like, yeah, they got reps. Yeah, they were paired together as backups, but like, I want to see those guys thrown in there with the starters. Just have 10 starters and one of the backups and just see what they can do in that setting, because that's going to be the setting they're thrust into at some point this year. Like, it's not going to be, oh, I'm with all my second team guys. These are the guys I'm used to. No, it's because a starter got hurt and you need to, get used to being able to play with them. So I think they should have made more of a conscious effort, and maybe they can do it this weekend where you're not like making wholesale changes. You're just, sprinkling in a guy you think you might need a little bit here and there.
Adam Vinchik says, do you think the run game will be better / more consistent this week? This has been a big topic for me this week, Jim. Some quick numbers. For the running backs against Duquesne, 18 total rushing attempts. 10 of those 18 gained 3 yards or less. I think generally the the consensus is that if you get 4 yards, that's a win on a run play. 10 out of their 18 got 3 yards or less. The running backs as a group, 18 carries, 111 yards. That's a 6.2 yards per carry average. That's great. Except you had, obviously Desmond Reed had the 53-yard run. He had a 13-yard run, and Joels Goff had a 10-yard run. So 3 carries of 10 yards or more. The other 15 carries, they got 35 yards. They averaged 2.3 yards per carry. So you got these big runs, which is good and makes the overall average look good, but they weren't consistently getting 4 or 5 yards in a chunk. And I think there's a lot of reasons for that. But I think, my question that I keep coming back to is like, is it possible this is just who they are? That they're not going to be the kind of team that can build an established, consistent running game. It's going to be like Desmond Reed. Like, you look at his carries, 1, 1, 13, -1, 3, -2, 53, -2. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of his 8 carries gained 1 yard or less. But then he had a 13 and he had a 53. So like maybe that's just what their run game is. I don't think it's what anybody would want it to be. And I don't know how long you can live like that. But is that just who they're going to have to be?
I think that's, I do. I do think that's who they are. And I tried to hit on that a little bit last week. This is not line it up. We're going to sit here and establish the run and just come right at you and make sure that's part of our game. Like they're going to take what they can get. I mean, it's going to be those little like 2 yard, 2 yard, 15 yard, 2 yard, 20 yard. Like that's just who they are. I think that's who Desmond Reed is as a running back. I just think schematically, I think their personnel, like they're not playing with a lot of 2 tight ends. Sometimes they're not playing with a tight end. I mean, it's just, that is just what they're going to be. And I think, yeah, I mean, you want to see more consistent. You want to see Jeff Percy like throw a Duquesne guy into the ground and they run right off his shoulder and you get 8 yards. Like, I just don't think that's who this team is. And like, could Pitt have rushed a little bit better if Desmond Reed had more than 8 carries? Yeah, probably. I mean, like that's part of it too. I mean, it's like they didn't give their best running back the ball all that much. I mean, I know he only got a couple, but odds with him, he's going to break 1 or 2 more. So I don't know. I'm of the mind that that's just who they are. That's who they're going to be this year. Des Reed is the threat with him is that he can take it the distance every play, not every play, but chances are he's going to get 1 or 2 of them a game.
Flipping over to defense, Will Z says, "Hey, Chris and Jim, did you guys see any of the Delta package against Duquesne? It looked pretty base defense to me. Do you think they'll use it more this weekend or save it for the Mountaineers?" Yeah, they'll use it a lot against Duquesne. Almost every third down, I think they were in the Delta defensive package with 3 down linemen, 3 linebackers, 2 corners, and 3 safeties. They would bring in Kavir Baines-Marquez. And I thought this was interesting, Jim. I'm sure you noticed this too. They would bring in Kavir Baines-Marquez as an extra safety, but he didn't line up in the box where the extra safety usually lines up. He lined up at like free safety, field safety, and Javon McIntyre would come down into the box and play that, what they call the star position in that Delta defense. And so while they never really used Kavir Baines-Marquez in the base defense early in the game, they were content to use him in a similar role in the third down defense. Like,
right.
Does that not make sense? Like, you trust him to play that position on third down, obvious passing situations, money down, as they always say, but you don't trust him to play that position in the base defense.
No, I thought that was unique, but I also thought like of the very few third downs that Duquesne gained, it seemed like he was trailing the play on 2 of them. Like, I don't know if he was like directly beaten, but like whenever there was a Duquesne guy open getting the first down, it was Baines-Marquez making the tackle, chasing him down. So I don't know if he was out of position. I don't know if that was a breakdown on his end or someone else's end. I'm not smart enough to break down film that way, but yeah, I thought it was interesting. Duquesne didn't get a lot of third downs, but he seemed to be involved in a couple of them.
According to Pro Football Focus, he was targeted 3 times and gave up 3 receptions for 44 yards. 10 of those yards came after the catch. So, yeah, he gave up quite a bit. I thought it said how many first downs he gave up. Let me see if I have that. Let me see.
Well, Duquesne only had 8.
Yeah, it says he gave up 1 to Joey Isabella on a 30-yard pass. So, that wasn't all on him. Javon McIntyre is charged with giving up 2, also to Joey Isabella, including that really long pass which actually was like one of the snaps where Cam Lindsey was on the field earlier in the game. I don't know if that necessarily had anything to do with it, but it might have been related. I think there was some play action there. But anyway, we'll see what happens there. But they did use that Delta package a lot. Let's see. Larry's cousin says West Virginia had a horrible first half versus Robert Morris. Hopefully that's an easier win than we think. That game was happening while we were at the Pitt game, right? The West Virginia game?
Yeah, but I do remember, like, at some point towards the end of the game, we were all like, "Oh, West Virginia is only up 10-3 at halftime on Robert Morris."
I think they had a bunch of turnovers. I think they fumbled a few times, and I think that was part of it. But I didn't really get a chance to pay that close attention, so I don't really know what happened in that game. Have you gotten any details since then? Or
not beyond that.
Yeah.
I mean, I've had enough rewatching Pitt and Duquesne, and maybe even watching a little Central Michigan. So
yeah, you got to watch the tape. Mark Shoju wants to know, what are your thoughts on the offensive line play after last week? I'll just bring up some stats real quick in terms of pressures allowed. BJ Williams was charged with 2. Giovanni Cooley was charged with 1. Kendall Stanley was charged with 1, and also the only sack of the game. And Jeff Percy was charged with 1 pressure, according to Pro Football Focus, which they're not always perfect in their evaluations, but I definitely think they got it right with Kendall Stanley. He definitely gave up a pressure and sack. There was no question about that one. Overall, I thought the pass protection was okay. I mean, how many pressures did I just list? 2, 3, 4, 5 pressures from the offensive line. I don't think that's terrible. You'd like them to be perfect, I guess. I didn't think the run blocking was great, but I thought the pass protection was okay. Did you have any standout thoughts about the offensive line, Jim?
I thought it was good that Eli Holstein only got sacked once, and then again, it was like right after they made the substitution, so the starters did not give up a sack. Obviously, like, we've been talking about that running game and establishing the run, but for the most part, like, their primary job is protecting Eli Holstein. I don't remember him taking too many unnecessary hits other than the sack. So as long as he's staying upright, I mean, I think that's kind of what the primary object of the offensive line is. Like, Desmond Reed doesn't need a lot of space. He can make plays and, get in there when he can. But for the most part, I mean, yeah, if Eli Holstein's protected, I'm kind of generally pleased with how they played.
Was Desmond Reed in the passing game? Do you think that was the biggest thing they held back in the offense? If they held things back, if they limited the playbook, I mean, 1 target, 1 catch for 2 yards or whatever it was, like, that's not going to be the game plan going forward, right? Maybe this week, but like ACC games, Notre Dame, West Virginia, he's going to be heavily involved. Do you feel like that might have been the biggest thing they held back?
I would say so. Yeah, I mean, he had 9 overall touches on offense. Like, he's just going to be more involved. And, we saw how dangerous he was in the pass game last year. And, once you get him on a linebacker in the slot, it's kind of like it's a win for him already. Like, he's already running to the end zone. So, yeah, that had to have been the biggest thing they held back. I thought in the first quarter, whenever they were having their struggles or, looked out of sync, it seemed like they were just trying to do too much, horizontal stuff, passes out, like, to the wide receiver screens, things like that, even the runs to the outside. And it was just like, once they decided to start attacking vertically, like, I think like that one drive when it was like 3 passes, like they were all like 12-yard, 14-yard, 20-yard touchdown. Like, it was like something like that. It's like they started going downfield more, and that seemed to open up a lot more things.
Yeah. Because on the topic of Reed, like, I don't think Duquesne was able to scheme and take Desmond Reed away as a passing option. You know what I mean? I think that had to have been a choice by Pitt. Maybe they've found some different ways and developed some new ways to get him the ball, and they didn't want to show it against Duquesne. But I don't always know what they hold back in terms of scheme or playbook, but that one felt like a pretty big omission. Paul Sebastian says, will Desmond Reed and Kenny Johnson continue to return punts? I feel like using some of your best offensive players for this has the chance to be something they'll regret if they get hurt. Yeah, and we talked about that a little bit earlier, but I just think, Paul, you saw you saw the impact. You saw the benefit of using those guys in the punt return game because you saw how dangerous they were, with Desmond Reed with an 88-yard punt return for a touchdown. And then every punt after that, they were kicking away from him, and Pitt got great field position out of it. And Jacob Bernowski on media day, whatever day that was, August or July 30th or something like that.
July 30th. Yeah.
So more than a month ago, 6 weeks ago, 5 weeks ago, Jacob Bernowski said that to me. He's like, there's two good things that can happen with Desmond Reed as a punt returner. One, he can break one and take it all the way back. Two, the threat of him breaking one and taking it all the way back will force the opponent to punt, probably not the way they want to punt, and try to punt away from him. And you have a chance of it giving you good field position. Jason Martell says special teams needs to be a plus for us this season. I think it will be with Desmond Reed on punts, Kenny Johnson, maybe Deuce Spanner, Blue Hicks on returns, and dare I say Caleb Junko on punts might have a special teams advantage. Caleb Junko, Jim, we talked about it all in camp. Thought he punted pretty well on Saturday, didn't he?
Yeah, I thought so. I think it was like a 45 something average, like a long of 53. Like, I thought his kicks were good. I think for the game, Duquesne had a total of 4 return yards between punt and kickoffs. So like Duquesne never had any lanes to get anything going. So I thought all the punts were where Pitt probably wanted the punts to go. And like you said, that this whole special teams operation, like the return game was good. The blocking was good. The only negative you could say about the special teams on Saturday was the one blocked extra point. But otherwise,
yeah,
I thought Bukowski kicked pretty well. So like everything about it looked good.
Yeah, to your point, Caleb Junko punted 4 times. Like you said, averaged 45.2 yards per punt. He had a long of 53. He didn't put any inside the 20, but he had 0 touchbacks. And out of those 4 punts, they had 1 return for 4 yards. And I'm going to bring up the drive chart here. When Duquesne started drives with a punt, or after a Pitt punt, they had a drive that started at the 21. So he didn't put any inside the 20, but they had 1 at the 21, 1 at the 39, 1 at the 35, and 1 at the 25. So that's pretty good. I think that's like pretty positive field position. And again, you average 45 yards per punt. I thought his punts looked good. We don't have numbers on like hang time and things like that. I don't think. Maybe Pro Football Focus does. But I just thought his punts looked good. They looked like what we saw in training camp, where like good hang time and just generally really good. Like a threat, an ability to flip the field. I'm looking, it looks like Duquesne had 2 fair catches on those 4 punts, but they do not have. I'm looking at hang time. According to Pro Football Focus, Caleb Junko averaged 4.24 seconds hang time, which I think is good. I think better than 4 is good on hang time, isn't it?
I don't know the hang time metrics that well, but that seems good.
What is good hang time on a punt?
Are you going to look at the AI answer?
No,
of course
no. All of this is stupid. Some link to Facebook says the average NFL punt hang time is 4.5 seconds.
Okay.
4.2 seconds seems like a pretty good. A good rule of thumb is a 45-yard punt should have about 4.5 seconds of hang time. And for every yard after that, up to 50, you should add roughly whatever. 4.2 sounds good to me. They looked good. You know what I mean? Like they looked like good punts. They had good hang time. I thought he did really well. And we talked him up in training camp. I think one of my 10 predictions last week, I said that he's going to be an all-conference punter because, why the hell not? Let's have fun with it. But
sure.
He looked as good as he's ever looked, I thought, in training camp, and I thought he looked pretty good on Saturday. Let's see. Joey Dealey says, I'm surprised Ja'Kurian Turner didn't get any touches. I thought he was going to. He was dressed, right? Didn't we see him in uniform, Jim?
He was in uniform.
Pre-game.
I did not see him on the field at all. I didn't see him on the participation report, so he didn't get in. No, he didn't get in. And, it was talked about a lot in the summer. He was banged up through training camp. They were limiting him. So they had him dressed. So he, like Sincere Lee too, right? Wasn't Sincere Lee in uniform as well? We saw him go through warmups, and he didn't get on the field either. I think they're trying to be smart with those guys. I think they're trying to preserve them, keep them healthy. Was there anybody else who
that we knew was banged up, dressed in uniform, but did not play. Is there anybody else that comes to mind? Those two guys I know. I forget if there was anybody else.
Nothing that's like standing out.
Yeah, I think those were the main ones. He's going to play Ja'Kirian Turner. He's going to get touches. He's going to make a lot of plays. It's going to be exciting to watch, but taking their time with it. 412 Pitt says, I'm worried about our running back room. They look like they're in junior high. I mean, yeah, like this is what they want, right? Like they like these small, fast guys. The wide receivers are small and fast. The running backs are small and fast. Juelz Goff looks big by comparison to Desmond Reed. Who was it? Is it Clemson has the running back who's like a converted wide receiver and he's like 6'2", 240 or something like that. Did you see that during the Clemson LSU game?
I missed that, but yeah, that tracks.
He looked giant out there. Like he looked enormous. I wanted to find the exact size on this guy because like standing next to Cade Klubnik, I was like, holy cow, look at the size of this guy. Of course, they have some stupid format on their website. I hate this. Adam Randall, 6'2", 235. Converted wide receiver. He looks every bit of that size. Like he's fun to watch. It is fun to watch a big back every now and then, but it's also fun to watch a guy who can do the things that Desmond Reed can do. You know what I mean? Do the things that we think Ja'Kirian Turner can do. Do the things that we think Juelz Goff can do. Like it's fun to watch James Conner, but it's also fun to watch Dion Lewis or LaShawn McCoy. Don't judge running backs by their size. I'm not. I don't know. Do you have a level of concern about the running back room?
No, I mean, I watched Desmond Reed play for a full season. Like he's one of the best. He's Pitt's best player on offense and one of the best players in the ACC. So I don't really have any concerns that he's 5'8".
Yeah,
probably 5'7".
Yep. Let's see. Mark Sholoju says Georgia Tech got a big road win. Florida State is clearly better than expected, and Miami looked good. Are either of you reconsidering whether or not Pitt gets 8 wins? Yeah, Jim. We talked ourselves into 8-4, 9-3 a few times over the last couple of weeks. Now that there's actually been a weekend of college football, and we've seen Pitt, but also more relevantly, we've seen all the teams on Pitt's schedule. What are you revising, or would you revise your record prediction?
Not necessarily just yet. I mean, if anything, like watching Georgia Tech play made me almost as confident that Haynes King won't be involved in that game. Like seeing that dude run like 27 times or 150 yards, like he's not going to be around in November. Like, come on. No, I mean, but I think it's a good thing for the ACC. I like the ACC did not step on a rake to start the year. Like, yeah, like there was a couple, like you wanted Clemson to win and Syracuse to win, but like that Georgia Tech game was Friday night national TV, Florida State 3:30 national TV. Miami took down a top 10 team. Like it was pretty un-ACC, like in a good way. Like the conference actually showed out well in some of those big showcase games. Not all of them, but some of them. And some years they don't get any of them.
Yeah, I think when it boiled down to it, I think the conference was 12-4 this weekend, 6-4 against FBS teams, and then 3-4 against Power 4 opponents. So 3-4 is not great, although shout out to 7 teams in the conference playing Power 4 opponents, right? But within those 3 wins, you had 2 of the biggest wins of the weekend, right? Like 2 of the biggest, most notable wins. Like everybody's now, the flip side of it is like everybody's talking about Alabama being a dumpster fire because they lost to an ACC team. So that, not backfiring, but maybe a little bit, but at least for a little while, like Miami's got a great win. If Alabama can rebound and pull itself back up, did you see something like Alabama's got its lowest ranking since like 2007 or something like that? Or maybe it's more recent than that, but
I didn't see that, but like they're due. And I think part of it right now is like everyone's just kind of dancing on the grave a little bit. Like I think everyone's like kind of like ready for the Alabama dynasty to be over. And it is. Like Nick Saban is not walking through the door. Tommy Castellanos, like I gave him a little nudge a few times in the offseason, but hey, good for him for backing it up. Like he went in and he talked the talk and walked the walk.
Yeah. He even completed a few passes. So shout out to him.
Mm-hmm.
Will Z says, what's your bold predictions for the Central Michigan game? I'll say Ja'Kerian Turner gets a touchdown, and so does Deuce Spann. You have any new touchdown scorers this week, Jim? Because last week Pitt got touchdowns out of Desmond Reed, Joels Goff, Blue Hicks, Kenny Johnson, and Bryce Yates, and Malachi Thomas. You have anybody new scoring this week? Anybody who hasn't scored so far?
How about a Poppy Williams touchdown?
Okay.
I think that's doable.
Is that a bold prediction?
Bold prediction. Eli throws 4 touchdowns again. Matches his career high.
Okay.
Is that bold? That's pretty bold.
I like it. I'm going to predict the scoop and score. I think they get after these running quarterbacks. I think they hit him in the backfield. Who's going to score it, though? Cam Lindsey.
Why not?
Cam Lindsey, scoop and score. It's coming. Didn't Braylon Lovelace have a scoop and score? Or did he force the fumble?
No, he
Tech, or did he score it?
He scored it down in Virginia Tech.
Yeah, when he was a freshman.
Yeah.
There you go. Cam Lindsey.
Time. Yeah.
I mean, I know he's not a true freshman, but I mean, Cam Lindsey, scoop and score. That's my bold prediction. Is Pitt getting another special teams touchdown this week?
It's a possibility. You know, everyone's like kind of down on, putting Desmond Reed and Kenny Johnson back there. I'm all for it. Like, why not give your best players space? Like, this is what Desmond Reed is good at. Like, he's a preseason All-American, not as a running back, but as an all-purpose. Like, let him be what he is. And I'm good with him getting the ball with a running start and an open field.
Yeah, and if he gets a running start like he had on that first one, he's going to go all the way. Central Michigan's punter against San Jose State was he averaged right around 40 yards per punt, had a long of 43, and his name is Declan. So, you take what you can out of that. But I don't know. If he punts like the Duquesne kid did, then Desmond Reed's going to make some big plays. But I don't know if everybody's going to punt that way. Let's see. I think that might be about it. So we're both predicting wins for Central Michigan. We don't have our bold predictions are, you say Eli Holstein's going to throw 4 touchdowns again. I say Cam Lindsey's going to have a scoop and score. I guess you're probably more likely to be right. It had been 4 years, though, since a Pitt quarterback threw 4 touchdown passes. Are you surprised by that? I guess probably not, right? Keaton Slovis, Phil Dracovic, Christian Bear.
I mean, there were games they didn't throw any, so it's believable.
True.
No, but I think 4 touchdowns is. I mean, like if you were to take it as a bet, like Cam Lindsey's going to score a touchdown, like yours would pay out a lot more.
Right, mine would be like plus 1,100 or something.
Yeah,
and Eli 4 touchdowns would be like plus 350 or just because he's already done it. They both would pay out pretty good, but mine would pay a little bit better. So put your money down, folks. Cam Lindsey, scoop and score touchdown. That's we'll have to book that one. Write it down. Jerry always used to make good bold predictions before games. He was always good for that, but not anymore. All right, Jim, thanks so much for your time tonight. Thanks to everybody who tuned in on the live show. It was a lot of fun as always. Make sure you like this video and subscribe to youtube.com/Panther-Lair.com, and then go over and check out the website Panther-Lair.com for all the Pitt coverage leading into, during, and after the Central Michigan game on Saturday. Make sure you like and subscribe so that you can be tuned in for our post-game show. Start again probably around 6:30, 7 o'clock like last week's did. That was a lot of fun. We did shots and drank beers. You can too, and talk about Pitt football. So thanks for tuning in tonight, everybody. Hope you've had a great week so far. Don't forget to check out the Morning Pit tomorrow, and we will catch up with you again soon right here, youtube.com/Panther-Lair.com.